Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that Leslie has a shocking surprise for both Eva and Peaches, one that will reshape the fragile balance of trust and loyalty between them. Leslie's proposition is bold and unapologetic. She wants Eva to give up her hotel room. The request itself might seem small, but beneath it lies a layered play of power, control, and veiled generosity. Leslie isn't leaving Eva stranded. Of course, she offers what she paints as a trade of greater value. Eva would move into Leslie's old apartment, the one Leslie had already repurchased, in a display of wealth that seems to multiply by the day. The old apartment is not just a roof over Eva's head, it's a symbol of Leslie's influence, her ability to open doors that others can't even knock on. Eva hesitates. The hotel room may not be glamorous, but it's hers, a place of neutrality, detached from the ever-shifting battlefield of alliances. The thought of moving into a space stamped with Leslie's name unsettles her. It feels less like a gift and more like a collar. Shiny, expensive, but still a collar. Eva's resistance intensifies when Leslie casually mentions Ted, a name that stirs old wounds. Eva has always been wary of Leslie settling too close to him, and her protective instincts flare at the idea of blurred boundaries and rekindled connections. But Leslie knows how to disarm. She steers the conversation away from Ted and toward Thomas, the man who lingers in Eva's mind far more often than she admits aloud. When Leslie drops his name, Eva falters, her composure cracking just enough to confess that yes, she feels something for Thomas. More than Faith feels something for her too. There is no denying the charge between them. Leslie, sharp and opportunistic, doesn't waste the opening. She urges Eva not to stand in the shadows, not to let Kat win by default. Prove to Thomas that you're the choice worth making, Leslie advises with a smirk that mixes encouragement with provocation. To Leslie, love is a contest, a performance to be judged. For Eva, though, the thought of competing with Kat feels exhausting, and yet she cannot ignore the flutter of hope that Leslie's words ignite. Then comes the money. Leslie wires Eva a generous sum, more than she had ever expected, perhaps more than she had ever held at once. The transfer chimes on Eva's phone, and her mood shifts instantly. Her eyes widen, a rare smile spreading across her face. For a moment, suspicion fades, replaced by the thrill of liberation. Money means freedom, choices, breathing room. It means she no longer has to scrape or compromise at every turn. Leslie, watching Eva's delight, knows exactly what she's doing. Wealth is her language, and through it, she binds people closer, weaving invisible threads that pull when least expected. Peaches, too, finds herself in the warm glow of Leslie's fortune. Unlike Eva, though, Peaches is not dazzled by luxury or ambition. She is weary, her body fighting a disease that strips her strength day by day. Leslie recognizes this, and in a rare act of tenderness, she gives back to the woman who once gave her everything. A check, its number so impossibly large it nearly shakes Peaches, slides across the table. Leslie doesn't dress it up in flowery speeches, she admits plainly that money is all she knows how to give. She hopes, desperately, that it will buy her foster mother more time, better treatments, a shot at survival. For once, the act feels uncalculated. It may, in fact, be the kindest thing Leslie has ever done. Yet kindness is not the word Mona and Jan would use. From the sidelines, the two friends watch Leslie's ascent with growing resentment. They had once shared secrets, dreams, and nights of laughter with her. But now, with wealth lining Leslie's pockets, those bonds feel disposable. Mona and Jan whisper their suspicions. Leslie has no use for them anymore. Their conversations are filled with bitterness, the sting of being outgrown and abandoned. Every ignored call, every unanswered text confirms it. Leslie has cut ties without even the courtesy of a goodbye. Elsewhere, another secret begins to fester. Jacob notices Shanice's watchful eyes on Derek, the firefighter whose injuries had nearly stolen his future. Derek's legs, once unresponsive, are stirring with life again. The first twitches of sensation return, small victories that feel monumental. Shanice sees it, Jacob sees it, and yet both remain bound by silence. The guilt gnaws at them, especially Jacob, who cannot stomach the weight of concealment any longer. One evening, Jacob confronts Derek. His voice is edged with frustration, with the moral pressure of truth clawing at his throat. "I'm not going to keep this quiet forever," he warns, and Derek bristles. Anger erupts between them, Derek accusing Jacob of meddling, of doubting his relationship with Ashley, as though keeping the secret is some kind of test of loyalty. Jacob pushes back harder, his words sharp, accusing Derek of playing games with Ashley's trust. The clash leaves both men seething. Derek, cornered, makes a reluctant promise: if his progress continues, if he reaches the point of undeniable recovery, he will tell Ashley himself. But secrets never stay buried for long. Shanice, bound by medical ethics, knows she shouldn't reveal anything. Still, her heart betrays her. She has loved Derek once, maybe still does, and watching him wrestle with this lie tears her apart. Her professional restraint crumbles, and she whispers the truth to Ashley. It is an act both selfish and compassionate, a moment where her duty collides with her desire to ease Ashley's uncertainty. Ashley, meanwhile, faces emotional upheaval on another front. Andre, brimming with joy, announces his engagement. Unlike Danny, who responded with warmth, Ashley forces a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She congratulates him, her words practiced, polished. "You're lucky to have found your real love." The phrase stings with subtle distance, as though she's trying too hard to appear happy for him. Beneath the surface, envy coils tightly. What she doesn't know yet is that Andre's perfect picture will soon crack. Bill and Nye, drawn by temptation, share a kiss that Andre will see with his own eyes, unraveling trust and shifting loyalties in ways none of them can yet predict. Back in Derek's world, progress accelerates. Not only can he feel his legs, he can stand, if only for moments at a time. Each step forward is both miraculous and damning, because the longer he hides it from Ashley, the more corrosive the eventual revelation will be. His anger with Jacob simmers, his gratitude toward Shanice grows complicated, and his guilt toward Ashley sharpens into a blade. The love triangle reopens old scars, positioning each of them at crossroads where every decision is as dangerous as it is inevitable. The ripple effects spread. Mona and Jan's bitterness toward Leslie grows into schemes whispered over wine. They speculate on how Leslie's empire might collapse, how secrets might surface to drag her down. Peaches, fighting her illness, holds onto Leslie's gift as both salvation and reminder, a bittersweet tether between mother and daughter. Eva, with money in her account and Thomas in her thoughts, teeters between hope and rivalry, watching Kat with wary eyes. And Leslie herself, perched high on her throne of wealth, surveys the shifting loyalties around her, half blind to the cracks beginning to spread through the foundation she has built. The stage is set for confrontations that will test not only their relationships but the very fabric of who they believe themselves to be. Trust, once broken, cannot be repaired with checks or promises. Love, once challenged, cannot be won without sacrifice. And secrets, once whispered, cannot be silenced again. Leslie's generosity, while dazzling on the surface, begins to unravel into something more dangerous beneath. The money she gives to Eva sparks not only relief but dependency, a subtle tether that keeps Eva within Leslie's sphere of control. With each purchase Eva makes, each small indulgence she allows herself, she feels the weight of the strings attached. Leslie knows this and leans into it, weaving herself deeper into Eva's decisions. Yet Eva's focus drifts increasingly toward Thomas, her attraction pulling her into a storm of emotions. Kat's presence becomes more threatening, more suffocating, as Eva imagines Thomas slipping through her grasp. Leslie's voice echoes in her memory: prove to him you are the better choice. And though she resents the manipulation, she cannot help but let it guide her. Peaches, however, carries a different burden. The large sum Leslie provides grants her access to treatments she never thought possible, but wealth cannot buy time without limits. Each doctor's visit brings both hope and exhaustion. She sees Leslie through softened eyes, marveling at this unlikely act of compassion from a daughter who had always seemed hardened by ambition. But even gratitude comes tangled with fear that this may be Leslie's way of paying final respects while Peaches still breathes. She clings to the idea of more days, more sunsets, Yet in quiet moments she wonders if Leslie's gift is a bandage over an inevitable wound. While these ties shift, Mona and Jan seethe on the outside. Conversations that once brimmed with gossip now curdle with bitterness. They recall favors done for Leslie in the past, times when she leaned on them, borrowed their loyalty, soaked in their companionship. Now, they are relics of a chapter she has closed, and their humiliation gnaws at them. Together, they hatch plants not sharp or dangerous yet, but seeds of resentment planted in the soil of betrayal. They watch her wealth with narrowed eyes, their envy mutating into a thirst to expose her, to prove that her rise is not built on integrity but exploitation. Jacob's determination to confront truths does not fade after his clash with Derek. His moral compass keeps him restless, circling the dilemma like a hawk. He tells himself that silence is complicity, that Ashley deserves to know more than crumbs of reassurance. But Derek's temper and pride form a wall he cannot scale. Each time they meet, the tension thickens, the unspoken secret humming in the air between them. For Jacob, it's not only about Ashley, it's about watching a man reclaim strength and squander it in fear of honesty. His patience frays, and with it, his restraint. Shanice becomes the linchpin in this growing chaos. Her decision to tell Ashley what Derek has hidden cannot be undone, and the confession lingers in Ashley's mind like a haunting refrain. She replays Derek's words, his promises, his reassurances, weighing them against Shanice's revelation. Love, once a place of refuge, becomes a battlefield of doubt. Every time Derek touches her arm, every time he smiles as though nothing has changed, she wonders if the foundation of their relationship has been built on lies. Shanice, too, pays a price for her honesty. The bond she once shared with Derek grows more fragile, and though she tells herself she revealed the truth for Ashley's sake, deep down she knows her feelings for him colored the choice. Derek himself walks a knife's edge. His progress is undeniable now. Legs once limp carry him upright, however shakily. Each step he takes in secret feels like a stolen triumph, yet also a mounting threat. The longer he hides, the more devastating the revelation will be. His anger at Jacob simmers, his gratitude towards Shanice is laced with unease, and his love for Ashley is clouded with guilt. He wants to be seen as strong again, not pitied or doubted, but he cannot decide whether unveiling his recovery will restore Ashley's trust or shatter it completely. Meanwhile, Andre's celebration of engagement takes a darker turn. At first, he is buoyed by the support of those around him, basking in the glow of what he believes is stability. Ashley's strained congratulations register faintly, like static at the edge of a perfect broadcast, but he brushes it aside. He wants to believe everyone is rooting for his happiness. That illusion collapses the moment his eyes catch Bill and Nye locked in a kiss. The betrayal slices him open, his fiancée's lips on another man's, his carefully built world crumbling in a heartbeat. Rage, heartbreak, and disbelief battle inside him, leaving him staggering between confrontation and paralysis. Ashley, caught between Andre's unraveling and Derek's deception, finds herself drowning in contradictions. On one hand, she tries to anchor Andre, offering comfort while hiding her own cracks. On the other, she confronts Derek, pushing for explanations that never come quickly enough. When Shanice's revelation echoes louder in her mind, Ashley's patience thins. Her words become sharper, her gaze more probing, until Derek feels cornered. What once was trust is now interrogation, and the love they built begins to fracture under the pressure of unspoken truths. Jacob, witnessing all of this, knows a storm is brewing. He wants to step in, to mediate, but his role as truth-teller brands him an instigator. Derek resents him, Ashley demands clarity from him, and Shanice leans on him for reassurance. He stands at the center of a web spun tighter by every word he utters. He feels both essential and expendable, the bearer of honesty no one truly wants to hear. The fragile connections between them all quiver on the brink of collapse. Leslie continues to play her games of wealth and influence, pushing Eva closer to a rivalry with Kat that may consume her. Eva teeters between empowerment and entrapment, the weight of money in her account a reminder of both freedom and obligation. Peaches fights her battle with illness, clinging to every day as though it might be her last, her gratitude to Leslie shadowed by dread of what's coming. Mona and Jan sharpen their resentment, poised to strike at Leslie when the opportunity arises. Derek wrestles with truth, Shanice with guilt, Ashley with betrayal, Andre with heartbreak, and Jacob with the crushing burden of honesty. None of them realize how intertwined their fates are becoming, how each choice made in secrecy echoes into another's downfall. A single revelation could shatter multiple lives. A single kiss, a single withheld truth, a single check written with too many zeros, all of it coils together, tightening like a rope around them. And as each of them edges closer to the brink, they will soon learn that doors, once opened, can never truly be closed again. The momentum of secrets, betrayals, and shifting loyalties builds until it can no longer sustain itself. What began as whispered conversations and hidden glances now roars into the open, forcing every character to confront the choices that have defined them. The fragile fabric of their connections is stretched to its breaking point, and in the inevitable tearing, truths emerge that no one can escape. Eva, flush with Leslie's money and armed with newfound confidence, finally allows herself to lean into her feelings for Thomas. She makes her move, daring to claim a space in his life that Kat has long occupied. Yet love, once dragged into competition, loses its purity. Thomas is torn, pulled between the safe familiarity of Kat and the magnetic intensity of Eva. Leslie's advice, once a spark of courage, now feels like poison in Eva's veins as she watches Thomas recoil from the idea of being a prize to be won. In chasing victory, she risks losing the very love she longed for. Leslie herself faces the crumbling of her carefully built facade. Mona and Jan, fueled by bitterness, finally strike. They gather pieces of her past, stories of her ruthless climb, and bring them into the light. Whispers become accusations, accusations become evidence. And soon Leslie is caught in a storm she cannot buy her way out of. Her wealth remains intact, but her image is tarnished, her relationships fraying beyond repair. For the first time, Leslie feels what it is like to be on the outside, to have power that cannot shield her from judgment. She turns to Peaches, the one person whose love she thought unconditional, only to find that even gratitude cannot erase disappointment. Peaches, though softened by illness, tells her plainly, money cannot substitute presence, and love cannot be repurchased once lost. The betrayal Andre witnesses between Bill and Nye cuts deeper than he imagined. Rage surges, but beneath it lies devastation, the sense that every vow made to him was hollow. His confrontation with Nye explodes in tears and accusations, a scene raw with the agony of a heartbreaking in real time. In the aftermath, Andre finds himself adrift, questioning not only his relationship but his ability to trust at all. Ashley, watching his collapse, feels the echo of her own unraveling. Her sympathy is genuine, yet it sharpens her awareness of the lies she too has endured. She begins to see that honesty, however painful, is the only foundation worth standing on. This realization pushes her to confront Derek once more, but the confrontation spirals into something neither expected. Derek, now able to stand longer, even take steps, chooses this moment to reveal the truth. He shows her, proves what his body has regained, and pleads for understanding. But the sight of his progress is not a balm, it is a blade. Ashley realizes that he could have told her weeks earlier, could have spared her the gnawing suspicion, the late-night doubts, the erosion of their intimacy. His strength, once a source of pride, now feels like a betrayal. The love they shared collapses under the weight of his silence. Shanice, caught in the fallout, becomes both villain and savior in Ashley's eyes. She told the truth, but too late, and for reasons too complicated to trust. Jacob, standing at the center of these fractured lives, finds himself drained. He tried to be the keeper of honesty, but instead he has become the bearer of blame. Derek resents him, Ashley accuses him of waiting too long, and even Shanice leans on him in ways he cannot sustain. For Jacob, the lesson is bitter: truth alone does not heal, and sometimes, it destroys. His role in the circle shifts from moral compass to scapegoat, a lonely place where righteousness offers no comfort. Peach's health becomes the silent drumbeat beneath it all. The treatments purchased with Leslie's wealth extend her time, but not forever. As her body weakens, she begins to see with a clarity the others lack. She knows that love cannot be bought, secrets cannot be buried, and betrayals cannot be undone. In one of her final lucid conversations, she gathers Leslie, Eva, and even Mona and Jan, urging them to see that every grudge, every scheme, every rivalry will fade, but the bonds they choose to nurture or to sever will be the legacy they leave. Her words cut through their noise, a reminder that wealth and power are fleeting, but the scars they carve into each other may last far longer than any fortune. The climax arrives when Leslie, stripped of her social armor, faces Eva's disappointment, Mona and Jan's wrath, and Peach's impending loss all at once. For a woman who once believed money solved every problem, she is forced to confront a truth more painful than poverty: she cannot buy redemption. Eva, emboldened by Peach's wisdom, breaks free from Leslie's control, choosing her own path even if it means losing Thomas. Mona and Jan, their revenge hollow after tasting it, realize that destroying Leslie does not restore what they lost. And Leslie herself, perhaps for the first time, sees that power is meaningless without loyalty, and loyalty is meaningless without love. For Derek, Ashley, Shanice, and Jacob, the conclusion is less about reconciliation and more about survival. Ashley walks away from Derek, her love for him buried beneath the weight of lies. Shanice, left with lingering feelings and no path forward, chooses distance, knowing that her heart is no longer welcome in his world. Jacob, though isolated, gains a grim clarity: honesty must be offered, but it cannot be forced, and sometimes silence is kinder than truth. Derek, left standing literally and metaphorically, must rebuild his life alone, his legs carrying him into a future unmoored by love. Andre, heartbroken but wiser, lets go of Nia and begins the slow work of finding himself again, not through another relationship but through the rediscovery of who he is without someone else's shadow. In the end, what binds them all is not victory but loss. They each emerge with less than they began, stripped of illusions, stripped of comforts, yet perhaps closer to understanding who they are beneath it all. The gates that once promised grandeur and transformation reveal themselves as doors to painful truths, and those who walked through them cannot return unchanged. The story closes not with triumph but with reckoning. Every character, from Leslie to Derek, Eva to Ashley, Peaches to Andre, learns that life beyond the gates is not about what you gain but about what you are willing to foresee and what you are willing to let go.